Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. This time we're diving into the world of gold IRAs, and we've got the Gold IRA Blueprint as our guide.
It's a hot topic right now, especially with all the economic uncertainty we've all been dealing with.
For sure, and the Blueprint really dives into, just how many people are turning to gold IRAs right now.
Yeah, and how to, protect their nest eggs.
Right. Exactly. So we should probably just jump right in. For anyone who might not know, can you break down what exactly a gold IRA is?
Yeah, sure. So basically it's like a retirement account.
Like a Roth IRA?
Yeah, kind of, but instead of, just stocks and bonds and all that, you can invest in gold.
Interesting. So you can actually hold, actual gold as part of your retirement.
Exactly. Gold, bullion, gold coins,
Yeah.
even gold ETFs.
So like real tangible assets that have, gold has always had value, right?
Exactly. And that's one of the big reasons why we're seeing a lot of interesting gold IRAs now.
Makes sense. So besides the whole, I can hold it in my hand appeal, what's driving this trend?
Well, you hit the nail on the head with the whole tangible asset thing.
Mm,
People like knowing they've got something real, especially when things are a little rocky.
right. Especially with inflation and everything.
Exactly. Inflation eats away at the value of your dollars.
Oh, yeah.
But gold tends to hold its value or even go up when inflation hits.
Like a safe haven kind of.
Yeah, you could say that. And the blueprint actually mentions sometimes when gold really held strong,
Oh, yeah. Like when,
like back in the Great Recession in 2008.
oh, wow. Yeah.
And even more recently, when the stock market dipped in August 2020, gold did pretty well.
Huh. So it really can act as a buffer when things get a little crazy.
Yep, exactly. And, for anyone listening who wants to dig a little deeper into this whole gold IRA thing,
Yeah.
the Gold IRA Blueprint actually has this free checklist you can get at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Nice. So what else makes gold IRAs so attractive? Besides the inflation hedge?
Well, they're great for diversification.
Diversification.
Yeah, you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, you're adding gold to the mix, which often moves differently than stocks and bonds.
So you're spreading the risk out a bit.
Exactly. And that can help smooth out your returns over time, make your portfolio more resilient.
So it's not just about potential gains, it's about protecting what you've already built.
Right, and that's a big part of the appeal of gold, especially now with all the uncertainty in the markets.
So when we talk about gold being a safe haven asset, what does that really mean?
Well, it means that people flock to it when things get a little dicey.
I see.
Yeah, like economically or politically unstable.
Oh, right, right.
And historically, gold has held its value through some major crises.
I bet. Like, what kind of crises are we talking about?
Well, think about the Great Depression, for example,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was a rough time.
or even the 2008 market collapse. Gold weathered those storms pretty well.
So it's like a security blanket almost.
In a way, yeah, people see it as a store of value that they can rely on when everything else seems shaky.
It's pretty fascinating how gold has managed to maintain that kind of appeal for, centuries, really.
Right, even in our digital world, people still see that inherent value in gold.
Absolutely. So the blueprint talks about some recent trends that are impacting the gold IRA market.
Yeah.
What are some of those?
Well, we're seeing a perfect storm of factors driving up demand for gold IRAs.
Okay, like what?
Like I mentioned before, inflation is a big one.
Yeah, makes sense.
But then you've got all this geopolitical instability, all the conflicts and tensions around the world.
Right, and that makes gold look even more appealing.
Exactly. It's a tangible asset that's held its value for centuries. So when things are uncertain, people turn to what they trust.
Makes sense. So let's say someone's convinced and they want to start investing in a gold IRA. What are the first steps they should take?
Well, the first thing you need to do is find a custodian.
A custodian.
Yeah, it's not like just opening a regular bank account.
Gotcha.
You need a custodian who specializes in gold IRAs.
So someone who really knows the ins and outs of precious metals investing within a retirement account.
Exactly. They'll manage the account for you, make sure you're following all the IRS regulations, and even handle the storage of your gold.
So it's like having a gold expert on your side.
Exactly. And the blueprint actually mentions a couple of reputable custodians.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Gold Star Trust and Allegiance Gold.
Hmm. So those are good places to start.
Yeah, always do your own research, of course.
Yeah.
But those are two well-known and respected companies in the industry.
Okay, so once you've got your gold guru, what's next?
Well, then you need to fund the account.
And how does that work?
You can either roll over funds from an existing retirement account, like a 401k or traditional IRA,
Hmm.
or you can make direct contributions.
I see. And are there any limits on how much you can contribute?
Yeah, the IRS has contribution limits, so you want to make sure you're aware of those to avoid any penalties.
Right, stay on the IRS's good side.
Exactly. So once you've got the custodian and the funds in place, then comes the fun part.
Oh yeah, the actual gold.
Yep. You get to choose how you want to invest in gold within your IRA.
So many options.
There are a few different ways to go about it. You can invest in bullion coins.
Like those American Eagle coins I've seen.
Exactly. Those are popular. Or Canadian maple leafs. There are a lot of options.
And those are all considered physical gold, right?
Right. You're actually owning a piece of gold.
Nice. So what are the other options?
You can also invest in gold ETFs.
ETFs?
Yeah, those are exchange-traded funds.
Okay.
They're like baskets of gold-related assets.
Right.
So instead of owning physical gold, you're investing in a fund that tracks the price of gold.
So it's like a more hands-off approach.
Exactly. And they're really easy to buy and sell since they trade on stock exchanges.
Sounds convenient.
They are, but it's important to do your research and choose ETFs that align with your investment goals.
So with any investment, really.
Absolutely. You always want to understand what you're investing in and what the potential risks and rewards are.
And what about other risks with gold IRAs? I mean, I know you said they can be a good hedge against inflation and all, but are there any downsides we should be aware of?
Well, like with any investment, there are risks to consider with gold IRAs.
Okay.
One of the main ones is the volatility of gold prices.
So even though it's considered a safe haven, the price can still go up and down.
Right, exactly. It's not immune to market forces.
Makes sense. So you can't just set it and forget it.
Nope. You need to stay informed and keep an eye on market trends.
Anything else we should be thinking about?
Another thing to consider is custodian fees.
Or?
Just like with any financial service, there are costs associated with setting up and maintaining a gold IRA.
So you've got to factor those fees into your overall investment strategy.
Exactly. And those fees can vary depending on the custodian, so it's important to shop around and compare.
Make sure you're getting a good deal.
Right, and be wary of any custodian who promises unrealistic returns or tries to pressure you into making a quick decision.
Good point. It's always best to err on the side of caution.
Absolutely. If something sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
So do your research, ask questions, and if you're not sure, it's always a good idea to consult with an independent financial advisor.
Exactly. A financial advisor can provide valuable guidance and help you determine if a gold IRA is right for your overall financial plan.
That makes sense. So it's all about making informed decisions and finding the right fit for your individual needs.
Precisely. Investing isn't one size fits all. It's about finding what works best for you and your financial goals.
So now that we've laid the groundwork and talked about the basics of gold IRAs, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on where things are headed.
Oh yeah, the future of gold IRAs.
Exactly. What's your take on the outlook for this type of investment?
Well, it's always tough to predict the future,
Sure.
but based on what we're seeing now, I think the outlook for gold IRAs is pretty positive.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A lot of experts are predicting that gold prices will continue to rise in the coming years.
Wow, so gold IRAs could become even more popular.
It's definitely possible, especially with all the economic and geopolitical uncertainty we're facing.
It seems like the world is getting more and more unpredictable.
It does, and in times like these, people tend to turn to gold as a safe haven.
So it's like a hedge against the unknown.
Exactly, and that bodes well for gold IRAs.
But of course, past performance isn't a guarantee of future results.
Right, of course.
So it's important to be aware of the risks and do your due diligence.
Absolutely, and it's also important to remember that diversification is key.
Right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. A gold IRA should be just one piece of your overall retirement portfolio.
So it's all about finding the right balance for you.
Exactly, and that's where a good financial advisor can really help.
Makes sense. So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into gold IRAs, I'm wondering if there are any other ways to incorporate gold into a financial plan besides an IRA.
Oh yeah, for sure. There are actually quite a few options.
Like what? What are some of the other ways people can get in on the gold action?
Well, one option is to simply buy physical gold.
Like coins or bars?
Exactly, you can hold on to them yourself.
So it's like having your own personal gold stash.
Right, but you won't get the tax advantages of a gold IRA.
Ah.
And you'll need to figure out how to store it securely.
I bet like Fort Knox or something.
Maybe not that extreme, but you definitely want to keep it safe.
And insured, probably.
Right. Insurance is important in case of theft or damage.
Okay, so physical gold is one option. What else?
Another option is to invest in gold mining stocks.
So you're buying shares in companies that actually mine gold.
Exactly. And the value of those stocks tends to go up when the price of gold goes up.
So you're kind of betting on the success of the gold mining industry.
Right, and some gold mining stocks also pay dividends.
Oh, nice. So you can get a little extra income from your investment.
Exactly. It's a way to participate in the gold market while also potentially earning some passive income.
Sounds interesting. And then there are also the gold ETFs we talked about earlier.
Yep, those are a popular option too, especially for people who want a more hands-off approach.
Makes sense. So it seems like there are quite a few different ways to get exposure to gold.
There are, and the best option for you will depend on your individual circumstances and your investment goals.
Right. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation.
Nope. And that's why it's so important to do your research and understand the risks and rewards of each option.
Absolutely. And if you're not sure where to start, talking to a financial advisor is always a good idea.
Couldn't agree more. They can help you navigate the complexities of gold investing and create a plan that aligns with your overall financial goals.
So whether you're looking for a long-term retirement investment or just a way to diversify your portfolio, gold seems like a pretty solid option to consider.
It definitely has its appeal. And with all the uncertainty in the world right now, it's no surprise that gold is becoming increasingly popular.
So as we move into the next part of our deep dive, we'll be exploring some of the key considerations for anyone who's thinking about adding gold to their investment mix.
Exactly. We'll be talking about things like choosing the right custodian, selecting the best gold investments, and managing the risks involved.
So stay tuned for more insights and advice on how to make smart decisions when it comes to gold investing.
We'll be right back after a quick break. So yeah, there are a bunch of different ways to get into gold, within your IRA.
So beyond just buying gold bars, what are we talking about here?
Well, like I was saying, you could invest in bullion coins.
Right, like those American Eagles and Maple Leafs.
Exactly. Those are popular because you're literally holding a piece of gold. It's like a tangible asset you can hold in your hand.
Yeah, I guess there's something about that that feels reassuring.
Exactly. People like the feeling of owning something real, especially when, the world feels a little uncertain.
But you also mentioned gold ETFs. What are those all about?
Yeah, those are exchange-traded funds. So basically, they're like baskets of gold-related assets.
So instead of owning the physical gold, you're investing in a fund that kind of follows the price of gold.
Exactly, and they're super easy to buy and sell because they trade on stock exchanges.
So it's like a more liquid way to get into gold.
Exactly. But, like with any investment, you got to do your research.
Yeah, bet.
Make sure you choose ETFs that match up with your investment goals.
Okay, so those are a couple of options, but are there any downsides to gold IRAs?
Well, yeah, like with any investment, there are risks to consider.
Okay, so what are we talking about here?
Well, one of the big ones is that gold prices can be volatile.
So even though gold is considered a safe haven, the price can still fluctuate.
Right, exactly. It's not immune to, global events and market forces.
Okay, so you can't just invest and forget about it?
Nope. You got to stay informed and watch how things are moving.
So what else should people be aware of?
Custodian fees, those are another thing to think about.
Oh, right.
It costs money to set up and maintain a gold IRA, just like with any other financial service.
Okay, so you got to factor those fees in when you're, crunching the numbers.
Exactly, and those fees can be different depending on which custodian you choose.
So it pays to shop around and compare.
Right, and, watch out for any custodian who's promising the moon or trying to push you into making a quick decision.
Yeah, good advice. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Exactly, and, if you're feeling unsure about anything, it's always a good idea to talk to an independent financial advisor.
Yeah, they can give you some unbiased advice.
Right, they can help you figure out if a gold IRA is the right move for you and, help you navigate all the details.
Okay, so it sounds like there are some definite pros and cons to consider.
There are, but overall, I think gold IRAs are a pretty attractive option right now.
Especially with all the, uncertainty in the world.
Exactly. Gold has a long history of holding its value during turbulent times.
So let's shift gears a bit and talk about the future. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the outlook for gold IRAs.
Yeah, well, predicting the future is always a tricky business.
For sure.
But based on current trends, I think the future for gold IRAs is pretty bright. Yeah, a lot of experts are saying that gold prices are going to keep going up in the next few years.
So gold IRAs could become even more popular.
Yeah, definitely possible, especially with all the economic and geopolitical stuff happening,
Yeah, it seems like the world is getting more unpredictable by the day.
It really does. And when people feel uncertain, they often turn to gold, as a safe haven.
So it's like a hedge against all the craziness.
Exactly. And that's why I'm bullish on gold IRAs.
But of course, past performance doesn't guarantee future results, right?
Right. Of course, you always have to keep that in mind.
So it's important to, do your due diligence and understand the risks.
Absolutely. And remember, diversification is key.
Right. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly. A gold IRA should just be one piece of your overall retirement strategy.
So it's all about finding the right balance for you.
Exactly. And that's where a good financial advisor can be super helpful.
Okay, so as we start wrapping up this episode of the Deep Dive, I'm wondering, are there any other ways to, incorporate gold into a financial plan that are not an IRA?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. There are actually quite a few options.
Really, like what are some other ways people can get in on the gold action?
Well, one option is to just buy physical gold yourself.
Oh, like coins or bars?
Exactly. You can hold on to it yourself.
So it's like having your own little treasure chest of gold.
Right, but you won't get the tax advantages that come with a gold IRA.
Oh, right.
And, you'll need to figure out a safe place to store it.
Yeah, security is key.
Exactly. And insurance, too, just in case anything happens.
Okay, so physical gold is one option. What else is there?
Well, another option is to invest in gold mining stocks.
So you're basically buying stock in the companies that are actually digging up the gold.
Exactly. And those stocks tend to do well when the price of gold is rising.
So you're kind of betting on the gold mining industry itself.
Right. And some of those mining companies also pay dividends, so you could get some passive income from that, too.
Nice. So that's another way to get exposure to the gold market.
Exactly. And then, of course, you've got the gold ETFs we talked about earlier.
Right. Those are a good option, too, especially for people who want a more hands-off approach.
Exactly. So, yeah, there are definitely a lot of different ways to get into gold.
Wow, so many options.
And the best one for you will depend on, your personal circumstances and your investment goals.
Right. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to do your research, understand the risks and rewards of each option.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to seek out some professional advice if you need it.
Yeah, a financial advisor can be a great resource when you're trying to make smart investment decisions.
So whether you're looking for a long-term retirement investment or just a way to diversify your portfolio a little bit, gold is definitely worth considering.
Yeah, it's a fascinating asset with a long history, and it seems like it's only becoming more popular these days.
Well, as we wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive, I just want to thank you for sharing your expertise on gold IRAs.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
It's been a really insightful conversation, and I hope our listeners feel a little more confident about navigating the world of gold investing.
Yeah, I hope so too.
So for anyone who wants to learn more about gold IRAs, I'd encourage you to check out the Gold IRA Blueprint.
Yeah, they've got a ton of great information on their website.
And they're even offering a free checklist that can help you choose the right gold IRA company.
You can find that checklist at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
It's a great resource, so definitely check it out if you're interested in learning more.
Absolutely.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. Thanks again for joining us on the Deep Dive.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll catch you next time for another fascinating deep dive into, who knows what.
See you then.
Bye, everyone. So as we kind of wrap things up here, any final thoughts you want to leave our listeners with? Any, golden nuggets of wisdom?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is, knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your finances, Don't
Right.
just jump into anything, especially something like gold, without really understanding what you're getting into.
Do your research.
Exactly. Read up, ask questions, and, don't be afraid to get advice from people you trust.
And speaking of good advice, I want to remind our listeners about that checklist we mentioned.
Oh, yeah, that's a great resource for anyone who's seriously considering a gold IRA.
It's free, right?
Yep, totally free. You can find it at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Sweet. So what does that checklist actually do?
Well, it basically helps you choose the right gold IRA company. There are a lot of options out there.
Got to be careful who you trust.
Exactly. And this checklist kind of walks you through the whole process, helps you make sure you're making smart decisions.
That's awesome. So before we sign off, I've been kind of curious about this whole, gold thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's been around forever, right?
Thousands of years.
So what is it about gold that's just so, captivating for humans?
Well, I think it's a combination of things,
Like what?
Well, for one, it's just beautiful. It's shiny and it's got this warm glow.
Yeah, it's definitely eye-catching.
And it's also incredibly durable. It doesn't rust or corrode.
Oh, yeah, I remember learning about that in, science class or something.
Yeah, and it's also very malleable, so you can shape it into all sorts of intricate designs.
Right, all that fancy jewelry and stuff.
Exactly. But beyond the physical properties, I think gold also has this deep psychological significance.
What do you mean?
Well, For centuries, gold has represented wealth, power, prestige.
Oh, yeah, like kings and pharaohs with all their gold.
Exactly. And it was used as currency for a long time. It facilitated trade and commerce all over the world.
It's like it had this universal value.
Right. And I think even today in our, modern digital age, that sense of value persists.
Yeah, like even though we have all these, cryptocurrencies and stuff, gold still feels like real money.
Exactly. It's like a tangible representation of wealth and stability.
It's interesting how it's managed to maintain that kind of appeal for so long.
It really is. And I think that's a big part of why people are turning to gold now, with all the uncertainty in the world.
Yeah, makes sense. People are looking for something solid, something they can count on.
Exactly. And that's where gold comes in. It's like a reminder of, enduring value.
Hmm, that's a pretty profound way to think about it.
Well, I think gold has a lot to teach us, about history, about economics, about human nature.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
It's more than just a shiny metal. It's a
Right.
symbol of so much more.
Well, that's a great note to end on, I think.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today. Everything from the nitty-gritty of setting up a gold IRA to the, grand sweep of history.
It's been a pretty comprehensive deep dive.
It really has, and I hope our listeners are walking away with, a better understanding of gold and its potential role in their financial lives.
Yeah, I hope so too.
And remember, if you're interested in learning more about gold IRAs, there's that free checklist available at goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Yep, definitely check that out if you're thinking about adding gold to your portfolio.
Well, that about wraps it up for this episode of The Deep Dive. Thanks again for joining us,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll catch you next time for another, adventure in knowledge and exploration.
See ya.